Kia ora and welcome to this resource, Global Competence. There's a series of videos that accompany this resource, and these videos are meant as a quick summary of each of the chapters in the book. And so we're going to start off with chapter 1, looking at the critical nature of competencies and why that has suddenly become such a big agenda item for schools around the world. The world has been changing significantly in many different ways. From last century to this century, and last century doesn't seem that long ago. We were celebrating the year 2000 not long ago it seems, but we're already almost into the third decade of the 21st century. Those changes have been significant from many perspectives. There have been significant changes around the social places we inhabit in particular. Because what has happened back in last century, most people stereotyped themselves around how they were supposed to act and be in their communities. And as you got to 65, you were declared as old, you needed to retire, you needed to leave your jobs. Health was an issue. There's a whole bunch of things around there as well in terms of societal expectations. So the stereotyping meant that mothers behaved like this and could do these things, but not these things. Fathers could do these things, but not these things. Mothers looked after children, fathers looked after income. It was very stereotypical in many ways. Boys played sport, girls did nice things like music. You know, there was stereotypes for almost every aspect of our lives. Now, most of those are disappearing very, very quickly now. That has upsides and downsides. The upside is that we can now be who we are. Whether that's in a relationship sphere, in terms of an interest sphere, you can do anything. Girls can do anything, boys can do anything, men can be doing anything, women can do anything. And there's this whole new freedom, but with that freedom has come a lot more pressure to actually confront a lot more issues. We're having to make far more decisions now, and that includes our young people in our schools around the world. They're making far more decisions now than they ever had to before. They're comparing themselves on Facebook to their friends. How good is my life? How good am I? How good looking am I? Does that matter? What are the things I can do and I can do well? And these are actually good things and bad things. They're good things in many respects because we can see into other people's worlds. But we start comparing ourselves. We can't help ourselves as human beings to compare ourselves to others. And unfortunately, that has huge downsides for young people. And we need to be very careful. And we're seeing these huge rise in the number of young people who are self-harming and taking their own lives in some cases. You know, this is a huge tragedy that's happening in our world. And so, upsides, yeah, absolutely, definitely. Stereotypes limited us, constricted us, but it reduced the number of questions and issues that we needed to address. But now, we're opening this door. We've opened the Pandora's box. There is no way of going back. So we now need to prepare our young people for that space and place, being able to make decisions. And this set of capabilities that are required to do that are what we refer to as the competencies. The 5 competencies in this resource are identity, thinking and questioning, managing self, collaboration, and reflecting and connecting. Now, 4 of those are definitely competencies. The 5th one, maybe not, but it is absolutely critical. And we have learned through working with schools around the world that connecting our new understanding to our existing understanding is a critical aspect of learning. And we haven't done that well historically. So identity, the sense of self, the fact that we talk to self, that we actually are self, we are inside this body. Somehow there's this configuration in our head space up here that sort of dictates what this thing here does and how it feels and how it relates to other people and relates to the world that we live in. And it's an incredibly complex process. It's extraordinary, really. You know, just getting up and doing something each morning is an extraordinary event. So the competencies are here to actually give our young people capabilities that allow themselves to adapt, not just to the social space of going to school, but also being readied for the workplaces we're going into. With automation, globalization, and increasing amounts of collaboration in our workplaces have changed dramatically in the last 10, 15, 20 years. And the preparation we used to have was we wanted young people to be quiet, do as they're told, pick up their pay packets and go home at the end of the week, and so the business could make money. Now that's quite different. We're no longer sitting kids in rows, telling them to be silent and learning material off by heart, because that was what replicated the workplace. We had to know some systems off by heart, learn those, we had to be quiet, get on with our own work, not interrupt other people, and make sure that we did the job that our bosses told us to do exactly. We don't want people thinking outside the box. We want to do exactly what they were told to do. And that's what schools were about. That whole workplace space now has changed dramatically. It's now far more collaborative. It's far more creative. We're really pushing, virtually every workplace now is pushing this whole thing of innovation, ingenuity. How do we do that? And so what this resource is attempting to address is these issues. Why these competencies? How do we actually get them into our curriculum? How do we find the time to do that? Where's the capability sets around that? And what's the result if we don't do this? And that's the scary bit. If we don't prepare our young people for the actual world they're going into, our employers are saying they're just not ready. Even after years of university, they're just not ready. And they're not ready because they simply haven't got the competency capability sets that they need to be a member of a community, society, and an active member of that community and society. So we'll work through these chapters one at a time, and these videos are just a quick summary, so please go and have a read through that or watch, etc., the videos, and we'll see how that goes for you there. And all the very best with this journey as we go through looking at the competencies. Thank you very much.